Hello and welcome to Talking Live. I'm Dr. Robi Ludwig right here in Star Shop Studio in Times Square. Today we have such a big and really important show. We are interviewing the co-founders of hotbid.com. We're going to tell you all about it. Marvin Segel, who is right here.
Hello.
He's also the COO of Star Shop. And Domenick Propati, he's making a late appearance because he's playing hard to get. We're going to find about this amazing site which has very unique watches. We're going to tell you how it works. And also there's a special gift that you will get for watching the show.
Just for you, Robbie.
Yes, just for me. Well, you know, I love anything jewelry.
Yep.
I love watches. I love when I was doing a little research. You have luxury watches.
I have unique watches. Some of them are not terribly expensive.
Okay.
And the term luxury, I like to use the term unique. They can be unique because of style, because of other things. They don't have to be expensive.
I mean, I think that's really important to know because people get sidetracked. It needs to be a Rolex. There's a very expensive watch store right here in New York City where they charge top dollar.
Absolutely.
Tiffany, Cartier. And it's nice to know that something doesn't need to be hugely expensive.
No, right across the street we have Invicta,
Right.
which is one of the watches that is coming up.
In fact, Marvin Segel comes from an over 30-year background of marketing and home shopping. In fact, he comes from home shopping royalty, really, because your father created QVC.
Yes, he did, yeah.
And so I think, too, when you live with somebody who's an expert in the field, you almost learn things from a very, very early age.
And I also always had a passion for watches.
Yes.
I mean, I love them. I love what makes them unique. I'm wearing a Breitling right now, and I'm wearing a Breitling because I'm also a commercial pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And Breitling is known to be the official watch of a lot of the air forces around the world. So I like to wear it, and this is a unique edition of a Breitling. But it's those things, and whether it's an Invicta coming up or we have an Omega coming up toward the end of the month, I mean, spectacular watches. But the key I want for Hotbid is that people are going to come to the site because of the watches first.
Yes.
Price is secondary, and we'll get into how that pricing model works in a bit.
Well, when we first met, it was at Home Shopping.
I will never forget that.
Yes, and I was...
You remember how that meeting went?
I do. It went very well.
No, I'm talking about you walked into my office and you said, tell me something about yourself. And I said, besides the fact I've been married 3 times and engaged twice, you then shut my door and you said, we have to talk.
Well, I just wanted you to be happily married, which fast forward you are.
Yes, I am.
But even back then, you were very excited about watches and Invicta in particular. I think you worked with them to design.
I helped bring a couple of collections together. And again, I love what they're about. You mentioned Rolex. Nothing bad to say about the watch brand at all. However, you see so many versions of that watch, you know, and also you see knockoffs of that watch.
Right.
Where in a lot of cases, the watches we hope to bring are not watches you will see every day.
One of my friends who really loves watches like you was so excited and impressed by the first watch that you put up, that Hotbid put up.
Yep.
And he was talking like a foreign language, so much so that I couldn't do it justice by relaying what he said. Well, so I sent the information to you.
Yeah, I mean, that Sterling watch was a watch with a meteorite dial.
Yeah.
That meteorite dial with some brands that you mentioned.
Now, what does that mean, a meteorite dial?
It's actually something that fell out of space.
Oh,
and they take a sliver of it, and that's what they make the dial with. And then along with that, have tourbillon movement, which is a very unique movement. It goes back to the traditions of watchmaking. And so you have all these pieces coming together. And that watch, believe it or not, was bought on the very first night for $1.40.
Oh.
And that was a watch that was well over $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. And again, somebody bought it for $1.40.
One of the things that I like, and you didn't even mention this, is that Hotbid is a site you can go to and you know what you're getting is authentic.
Right.
Because there are a lot of sites out there. I don't know if you shop as much as I do online.
I'm sure.
I'm sure you don't.
Right.
But there are a lot of fakes out there.
Right.
And even though they might be good fakes and they might look good enough, if you're paying a lot of money or just paying for something that you think is one thing and it's something else, that's a really horrible feeling.
And that's the partnership we created with Talk About Watches. Two veterans from the industry that, again, like my relationship with you, Tim Temple and Michael Davis have this blog, this site called Talk About Watches. They are the ones getting the watches for us, certifying that they are what they say they are, and they are also creating the content for us. We were talking about shopping before the show started, and I think content is very critical in today's world. So you get really educated people talking to you about the watches.
So it's a little bit like a class. So if you're
Yep.
really interested in learning about a watch,
Yes.
you can go to Talk About Watches and really learn a lot more than you would
Yes.
know if you didn't see the segment.
And the magazines we partnered with, About Time and International Watch, are also very well known, very credible publications. So we want to make sure that everybody out there is getting what they see, and they're getting, again, very unique timepieces.
Well, that is definitely a guarantee, because I know that some of these watches, I'm seeing them up close and personal,
Right.
and they're gorgeous. They're so gorgeous that Marvin doesn't want me to touch them. So out of respect to Marvin, I'm not going to touch them. And we will walk the audience through some of the watches a little bit later.
Okay, fine. Okay.
But I want to just talk about how you and Dom partnered up at this business, because you talked a lot about enjoying food, but Dom comes from an artistic technology background.
He is absolutely amazing. He's a genius, in my opinion. And the way we describe it, it's the science and the art coming together. So he is very technical, extremely creative, and I am the watch guy. So together, we are a perfect marriage of bringing the science and the art together. And again, Dom has an amazing background. We met through this company right here, Star Shop.
Yeah.
And Star Shop is a great company, and it's also a great site to check out for shopping with celebrity social media and influencers, content creators. And Dom is involved with a company known as ViaTouch. ViaTouch is the next generation of vending machine, and they hate using the word vending, but automated retail, where you actually, the door opens, you get to shop like a woman does. You get to pick, touch, and feel something and decide whether you want to keep it or put it back in the machine, and then close the door. So you have all these businesses coming together.
Yeah. So it's almost like a meeting of the minds. But
Yep.
still, I think this is unique. And let's just, for anybody who joined us a little bit later, how would you describe hotbid.com?
It's a trusted place for unique timepieces. And that's the key thing. So you can come here, find unique pieces you can trust because of the DNA of everybody involved. I mean, I'm all about doing it right and having really, really great content and great watches.
And anyone who knows you knows that you are a perfectionist.
I am an insane.
I mean, almost to the point where I could tell it drives you crazy sometimes, but
Yes.
that's good for the people who are relying on you. And here, better late than never, is Domenick Propati. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Sorry.
We're happy to have you anytime. I was just saying, this is so exciting because it's not only a new business, but the quality that you are offering. And also, it's trustworthy. People know that they are getting beautiful, unique timepieces that are real, that are authentic, that come in these unique cases, which are incredible as it is. You know, you came in at the perfect time, because I was wondering how the two of you came up with this. Was it over a great lunch? Was it
many great lunches?
Right.
Yeah.
Our passion for food
Yes.
is equal to our passion for watches.
Absolutely. So I've been talking. Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, for us, we've had many conversations about, things that we love, things that we're passionate about, what are various different projects that we could kind of put our minds together on and our varied skill sets. And I just remember one day I'm sitting in the office and I'm looking at Marv's watch and I'm like, man, that is a serious watch.
Marv has several serious
he's got
watches.
a nice collection.
Yeah.
So, I started admiring his watch and I started thinking about the intersection of that, being like handcrafted, but also being really technology driven. So, I'm a tech guy. Design thinking is my background. I'm working right now on the world's most advanced auto retail machine named Vicky.
Right.
But when you look at a watch and you realize the hundreds of years worth of technology that went into being able to design and master a nice timepiece, I think that that moment when I saw Marv's watch and we started talking about that, we both looked at each other at the same time. We're like, this is the thing. Right. What can we do with watches? Because it's about beautiful craftsmanship, technology, being able to collect, and then something that Marv and I are very proud to be, which is unique.
Yep.
Yes.
And I think it was the kind of the intersection of all of those things. And then how we came up with the bid to buy model was really about, kind of collaborating around innovation in retail, which is really Marv's specialty. I mean, what I'm working on as well with the Vicky machine is also, well, it's absolutely innovation in the retail space, but Marv has built his career in direct to consumer spaces and being able to create value for really amazing and unique things. So I think that we just kind of collaborated, and next thing you know, we're like bid to buy.
Yeah, and so we have this very unique combination coming together. When we get into the watches, we'll talk about how each one of these watches is unique in its own right. We have the first Invicta we're offering, which is kind of in my DNA from Shop NBC. Our first vintage watch, which is a very unique vintage watch, which we'll get into. But it's, again, bringing these unique timepieces. And as we discussed, unique doesn't have to mean expensive, even at regular retail, and let alone at the model that we're at. The watch that sold last week was about a $4,000 watch that sold for $10.06.
$10.06.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
And you were telling me who bought the watch.
Well, the first watch was bought by somebody that was a college student, which is absolutely amazing, which was a market I didn't even think of.
Yeah.
But now you've got this very, this college kid thinking he's, hot shit, walking around campus, thinking he's very cool.
Well, he is.
Right.
Well, he is. And he probably has a lot of girlfriends now, too. Domenick, I loved when I was reading, you said, Marvin had all these beautiful watches, and these were all the watches that you wanted but couldn't afford.
That's the reality,
and so, I mean, I think that also brings up a great point that you're offering the audience out there the ability, because you're curating these watches.
Yes.
You're knowledgeable in both your respective fields, so you're already curating. So all the audience has to do is really buy and show up. Why don't we talk a little bit about these unique watches?
Sure.
And then talk about how people can actually be a part of this bid to buy, because it starts Wednesday evening, right? It's once a week.
The next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday at 9 o'clock is the next auction.
Yeah.
It will be that Invicta,
yeah,
which is the first reserve level, which is a cut above the other Invicta watches, Grand Diablo, and it's a spectacular watch, and it's a master calendar, which means you have the year, the month, the day, the date, when to make the coffee, not quite, but it's got, it has all that coming together.
That's the next watch.
Right.
When you get involved, Domenick.
Along with some really unique packaging. When somebody sees that, sitting on an end table or your dresser, they're going to say, what is that? And not only with the way the cases are for these two examples, but also when you're wearing it. I love when somebody says, that is really cool. What is that?
Yeah.
That makes you feel good inside. I'm sure you have the same feeling with your jewelry.
Yeah.
When somebody compliments you in your jewelry, you feel great, right?
Absolutely. Right. And I think it makes a statement, and even more so, with a man's watch, it makes a statement about who you are in the world. Yeah. And so people will look at watches and say, wow, that's an expensive watch. This person must do well or be an expert in their field. It really does make a statement, and men don't tend to wear a lot of jewelry. So the watch is the statement.
It is the statement.
Yeah.
It is your jewelry.
Yeah.
And in some ways, it is what you are.
Yeah.
It says, like, whether that one is a Swiss movement. I mean, again, these are quality timepieces that we're bringing.
Well, mine, I'm wearing an Invicta limited edition Star Wars watch, which goes with my Star Wars socks.
There you go.
I can't see at home, but I'm wearing R2-D2 and C-3PO
I like
socks.
the color
of the watch.
Of the watch.
Yeah, no, it's very cool.
And I got it because it screams Star Wars, but at the same time, it's relatively subtle.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for it, you notice it, but if you're not, it just looks like a beautiful timepiece.
It looks good on you. It's very masculine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I thought it was way too big, but that's why you got to hang out with guys like Marv.
No.
Marv, and I also don't know if we gave a shout out to the guys over at Talk About Watches.
I did already.
Who we've been collaborating with and are really helping us curate the collection. I've learned so much about watches from these guys because for me, you know, again, it was about the tech, it was about cool timepieces. I really didn't know that much. And throughout this process, I've learned all about the different movements and the different dials and the things that really make watches unique, which I think is of a value to the consumers and everybody out there in the world. I knew I liked watches, but I didn't know why I liked them. And part of what we're doing in the site is also giving a lot of great information, creating video content that lives on social media and Facebook and Instagram. So it's not just about finding the watches. It's also about learning about them and becoming, you know, more aware of.
See, we didn't rehearse this.
No.
Notice the same thing about content.
Yes.
Which I think is very important going forward. And then you get into the next watch. Again, our first
vintage. Which is vintage, which I tend to be all about.
It's a vintage watch. You cannot find this watch anywhere. I mean, it'd be very, very hard. This watch has all the original paperwork. And that is the case it comes in, which is 2 basically Formula One tires that squish together and hold the watch. That is the very rare red dial, which commemorates when Schumacher started driving Ferrari. You know, the Ferrari red.
Wow.
So you have a lot of really cool stuff when you understand it, and people look at it. And the greatest quote, we have an intern working here. He was taking pictures of the watch. Doesn't wear a watch, knows nothing about a watch. He came out to me, he says, you know, I don't know anything about watches. He goes, but that's a really cool watch. He just knew it. And that's what that screams.
Well, you know what? Beauty is beauty.
Right.
You know, so there is something to be said about these unique pieces. It's really wearing art.
Yep.
Functional art.
Right.
And let's talk about the best way that people can buy and participate in this bid to buy, because it's really not hard once you know it.
Nope.
And actually, for everyone watching the show, if you put in Dr. Robi, and we'll have a link so you can see it, all capitals, you will get 5 free bids.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just for you.
Just for me. Yeah. So I like to give gifts, 5 free bids, which can go a long way. Correct?
Absolutely.
So I think we have something also which shows the different bid packages.
Yes.
And we made a little JPEG for it. There we go. And you can choose your package ahead of time. So there is the $10 package, which is 10 bids, the $25, which is 25 bids, and I think they give some extra bids with that.
5 free with the 25.
And then the 50 seems kind of worth it if you really are invested in getting a watch.
Well, you want to have the bids sitting there in your kind of bid bank, because once you start doing this, as I mentioned, the auction just last week went 97 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, we were
well over an hour.
Like an hour.
Yeah, so think about that people were engaged with the site, bidding a penny at a time, and we'll get into that, how that works in a second, that, you know, each bid moves at just 1 penny. You can't go, oh, I'm bidding $20. No, it's 1 penny at a time. So you sit there, then there's a timer that resets. Starts at about 10 seconds, and you bid. If you bid, starts going down. You see the seconds ticking down. I could be somewhere else in the world, and then right at about 2 seconds, 1 second, I hit a bid. Now it's 2 cents. Timer resets, and it keeps going over and over again.
And I have to say, there's something about an auction, because I've done auctions online, and you just want to win it. You know, it's like you just want to stay in it and win it. Is there something special about the winner? Did they do something right? Are there any secrets that we can get from you today?
I think sticking with it is probably the key, right? So we noticed that, you know, there's some drop off as people get in there. Maybe they don't want to buy another bid package. So I think the key is to just, if that's a watch you want, or if you're really interested in what's going on, you just have to stay involved. And, you know, the economics end up working out. You know, you buy 1 or 2 $50 bid packages. You use those in an auction. Then you buy the final watch for $10. You know, that theoretically could have cost you $110 for a watch that's anywhere in between the, you know, $600 range all the way up to the Omega, which I think the street value on the Omega is above $8,000. So, you know, it's all a matter of just sticking with it, and then, you know, be ready to quickly buy another bid package, because if you love that watch and people are really engaged, you might have to buy another bid package to keep it going. But I think just sticking with it is really the key.
But again, it's the fun of, you are engaged, you are bidding.
Yeah.
You know whether you bid right away, and it'll tell you if you're the high bidder at that moment, and then somebody else can outbid you. But it goes on, and again, it is exciting. It's great. There are great watches, unique watches, and we're going to continue to have a whole collection of very unique watches. And if things go well in November, kind of mid-November through mid-December, we hope to have an entire month of very unique Invicta watches. We're working on that, working the details out right now, but I basically have a verbal commitment already. And I think that's going to be spectacular because there are some watches that have sold out. They maybe have them in a safe somewhere down there in Florida.
Yeah.
And we hopefully will have some of those, which, the collector loves that brand because that brand is collectible. There's a lot of limited editions, and it's not a lot of money.
Right.
Even at regular retail, it's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let alone, with us, if you can own a watch for $10, $15, that's insane for what these watches are.
Just like buying art, I think people want something that's special, and then they want to be able to tell the story behind it, which is great for dating or a cocktail party or just even
We're not auctioning
for
off women or anything.
Right, I know.
That's another whole thing.
Now, Marvin, in reading this, it sounds like too that if all goes well, you're thinking about expanding this to perhaps other luxury items.
Absolutely.
Moving
First
into the
off,
future.
we'll start to go into a daily auction. Then I think next, knowing you and my wife, hi Beth, there'll be handbags, high-end handbags. I think you can go into each individual category. So possibly at 9 o'clock, you pick the lane you want to be in, and you can be in the handbag lane, you can be in the watch lane, you could be, which would be amazing for you, jewelry. I mean, you can go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
So that will probably be happening sometime in the future.
I really like that. So again, the next hot bid to buy is Wednesday evening at 9 o'clock. We will have a link so that you can sign up. The next watch is the Invicta watch.
Right.
Anything else we need to tell our audience in terms of how they can join and be a part of this exciting process?
Go to the website.
Okay.
HAUTEBID.com. Create an account. You don't have to buy a bid package right away. So if you're hesitant about it, that's okay.
Oh, that's good
we know that it's a very unique kind of experience for people in terms of shopping. So, maybe you got your eye on the Omega. You want to see how it goes this week. You can create an account. You don't have to buy a bid package or buy one. That way you have them. And then when the auction tees off or kicks off at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, if you want to participate, hit the bid button. If you want to just watch and see how it goes, you can feel free to do that. But the key is just get in there, sign up, and then when you feel comfortable, when you've seen it and you feel like it's your time to jump in, buy a bid package and participate. But trust me, once you do that, it is fun. And you're going to want to keep doing it, especially as we continue to offer.
I'm jealous that I can't do it.
Yeah, it sounds like the healthy addiction that everybody wants and that I'll support. Well, this is so exciting. I am so happy for the two of you. Excited to see this company grow and all the luxury items that you bring into the mix for people to get at fair prices that everybody can play. Amazing prices is right. If you have any questions, write into us. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations. I mean, really exciting stuff. Beautiful watches. Thank you for joining. Don't forget, if you sign in with Dr. Robi, all capital letters, you get 5 free bids for yourself.
You can get a watch for Robi.
And then you can give it to me, which I will accept all gifts. Not being part of the royal family, I can accept whatever I want. There we go. I mean, I have to look at the positive side. Thank you for joining us. And actually, we will see you later on this week for Special Talking Live.